total peace and just harmony and good vibes to everybody out there. And you know, I attribute, just to start this Facebook Live off, I attribute this anxiety ordeal, this cycle, to a fake flower versus a real flower. And this idea just came to me like, wow, I lived so many years of my life as this fake flower. A flower that lasts for a long time, if not forever, but is dull. And this flower, this fake flower, is dull, and it's also artificial. This fake flower is lifeless, if you think about it. The fake flower doesn't experience any experiences, doesn't make any memories, doesn't learn anything, never grows. And for a very long time, living in this anxious bubble where I looked to prevent things from happening rather than create new things, I found myself very much connected to being a fake flower. But on the opposite side of all this is the opportunity to be a real flower. And a real flower is real. It demands consistent care and love, but it must also sacrifice life for death eventually, unlike the fake flower. So now, this real flower is full of life. It connects with its surroundings. It doesn't have too many prejudgments, doesn't have any judgments, cannot think for itself, but just goes with the flow of life. This real flower truly trusts in life. It didn't know it was going to become a flower. It didn't know what kind of colors it was going to have. It didn't know what it was going to be connected to, but it had a certain amount of trust. And I feel like when we look at this, and we look at our lives right now, warriors, each and every one of you, I want you to recognize whether you're the fake flower or the real flower. This fake flower or the real flower? Are you truly experiencing life as a whole and not beating yourself up over some pressure that you may put on yourself or things that you may have done that you call mistakes, right? So we need to look within and ask ourselves, are we truly living our lives, and are we allowing ourselves to live our lives, or are we consistently trying to prevent something from happening, trying to hold on to something that we must let go of? The question is, what do you have to let go of? What is it that you're holding on so tightly that you need to let go of and have trust in? Have faith in the idea of letting go. These are very important messages. You have to choose who you want to be. You cannot bring some characteristics from the fake flower into the real flower. Remember that. Right? You cannot say, well, I want to be a real flower, but I want to bring a couple things from the fake flower over to the real flower. You cannot do that. And I always remind people that this anxiety journey doesn't, the anxiety and the sensitivity doesn't go away and then you become someone new. You become someone new, and as a byproduct, the anxiety goes away. So we have to understand that today, and we have to be very, very honest with ourselves in terms of what's truly taking place, which habits we're continuing to run on autopilot, whether that be the morning, afternoon, or evening. And I do believe that the very thing that we're missing is honesty. Instead of being truly honest with ourselves, we're simply looking to stuff things aside. We're looking to push things aside and not deal with them, when in fact, those things that we're stuffing aside are the very things we have to look at straight in the eyes. And when we look at these things straight in the eyes, we have the ability to see beyond our old perceptions. We have this innate ability when we look directly into our fears to begin thinking beyond them, to begin acting beyond them and becoming beyond those fears. So these are things that we need to truly, truly take into consideration as we move forward. Because if you look at your results right now, ask yourself, are you pleased? Are you pleased with what you see? Are you living a life that is geared more towards effortlessness than fighting? Do you feel like you're fighting through everything and fighting to make everything happen? Or do you feel like there's a certain flow, a certain effortlessness in your day-to-day life? This is very important because we're meant to live a life that is effortless. We're not meant to be fighting every moment of our lives. We're not meant to be so internal. Internal in the way where we're trying to hold on to something and control every aspect of our lives, fighting for certainty. Where is that certainty? Where is that person that makes me feel a certain way, makes me feel the same way he or she did yesterday? No. The power, the growth is within the strangers out there, is within the people you haven't met yet. And you need to be open to meeting those people. And you need to be open to meeting those new experiences. And you need to be open to those new ideas. Lori says she's still trying to control, and that's good. I'm glad you recognize that. Someone mentioned the audiobook version of F Coping Start Healing, beginning of August. Hopefully the second week of August. Susie says, stop fighting. Christina recognizes that she is fighting in the moment. And that recognition brings about, my friends, brings about the most important mindset that you need to write down in glowing golden colors so you see it every single morning upon waking up. Calm awareness. Calm awareness rather than frantic awareness. This is truly crucial. And Nicole's always got, she's absolutely fantastic. I have to read everything that she writes. The new you, who you're becoming, doesn't have time for the old patterns and behaviors you are holding on to. For me, it was a daily decision to not be that person anymore. Key words there from Nicole are daily decisions. Because many times we think that we put in the work or we put in the internalness and the awareness for a day or two or whatever it may be, and we feel like we're done. We feel like we should be healed, become someone new. But the key words Nicole is trying to bring to this Facebook Live is each day, right? It's a daily awareness, daily decisions. Awesome. Now, my friends, now that we know, and a lot of people here know Nicole, love Nicole, I love it. I don't know if Steven's going to show up and a few others. And all of you, honestly, each and every one of you. Anissa is such a great contributor. Adita, Leslie, Karen's here. The list goes on. It really does. And it's nice to see that we feel like, we have people that can back us up. And we have people that can lift us up in times where we need it, and so that we can see beyond some of the things that we're getting caught up in. Because I recognize that a big difference between the old me and the new me was basically the new me has a certain amount of stressors throughout the day, Something external happens here, whatever it may be, and for a moment, my focus goes there, right? And what I've learned is that when a problem arises, you don't want to stuff it aside. You want to take care of it right away. And the old me wouldn't have experienced that same challenge as a moment, but it would turn into anxiousness. It would be a snowball effect. And what's important is momentum, my friends. If you take care of the morning, if you take care of the night before, if you're doing the self-care work, the targeted stuff that you need to do for you, not anybody else, but for you, then you're going to find that when challenges arise, you can handle those inner or outer challenges much better. But if your momentum is seeped within fear, any kind of negativity, catastrophic ways of thinking, thinking about your past, feeling the guilt, the blame that comes with that, if you have that kind of momentum and then you're dealt with a problem in the world, it's going to be very difficult, right? Because your instincts are going to take over and your intuition, along with your right thinking, won't. So momentum is key. What kind of momentum do you have as you go through the day? Are you living more of a calm awareness, pleasant day? Or are you fighting? Right? Awesome, Vernice. So the calm awareness video helped. That's good. Gladys, we'll get into some questions, my friends. So let's focus today a little bit. And I did put out a quote there yesterday on this idea. And this idea is very important. It's very important to go deeper into this idea, right? In order for us to get to a place where we feel like, wow, I really in my heart believe I'm on this healing journey, right? And the idea was that if anxiety is suppression, then healing is expression, right? If anxiety is this conscious and unconscious, constant, internal pushing, stuffing inside of things that I know I need to deal with and express, then I must recognize that I'm doing that. Because a lot of anxiety sufferers are some of the nicest people in the world. They're so friendly. They're so nice. But in a way, they're only nice to others. They're only nice to friends, strangers, family members. And this idea of pleasing others is always there before pleasing themselves. They're never nice to themselves. They're always nice to others. And so, with constant suppression, we find that we're kind of like a volcano that's looking to explode but can't. Can't because society won't allow it. Can't because the habits each and every day won't allow it. Can't because belief systems won't allow it. So if suppression is anxiety, then expression is healing. And you want to make sure you write these things down, my friends. Good stuff, Christopher. Awesome. Olga's starting to feel more compassion towards herself. I mean, that is the key right there, right? So what are we suppressing, friends? What are we suppressing? Let's get very targeted rather than general. What are we suppressing? We're suppressing ideas and thoughts. Suppressing ideas and thoughts. Ideas that show up within us. Thoughts that we have about things. And these ideas are creative ideas. They never seem to manifest. We always seem to stuff our creativity back down because it won't be approved, right? What else do we suppress? We suppress emotions that have been building up, right? Emotions. We suppress anger. We suppress shame. We suppress fear. And all these things turn into disorders. All these things turn into belief systems. And unfortunately, sometimes they turn into diseases and illnesses. We suppress creativity, as I mentioned. We're such creative beings. But we've turned into human doers. Human doers that are so caught up in their to-do list that they don't have a moment to tap into their creativity. Let me ask you something. How many creative endeavors have you put on the shelf because of anxiety? How many things have you said it's not the right time? I can't do this now because I'm dealing with this. Well, let me tell you something else. Your healing is determined by the amount of time you spend on that creativity. It's not the idea that when I heal, I'll be creative. No. The idea is that I am creative now and therefore I will heal. So stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting for the right person, right? Stop relying on everybody. In fact, you shouldn't be relying on me, right? None of you should be relying on me to help you to heal. I'm just a tool here for you. You come and you go. You grab the information, the knowledge that you need for that day in order to grow, right? And you move forward. But it's not a feeling of, I've got to hang on to my anxiety because I feel connected to the people and Dennis here. It's not like that, right? It's not like that. It's not the feeling of I've got to keep my anxiety or my fears and my doubts around because I feel the love and the connection from my husband or my wife. No, 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 no. This is where we trust in the idea of healing. A lot of people don't. Many people wouldn't even dare take on this journey. They wouldn't be here, right? But you have. You've made a choice. What else do we suppress? We suppress our actions. There are things that we want to do. We want to do things. We want to act differently. We want to behave in different ways. And we suppress it. We stuff it right back down. Not the right time. Why do we do it? Well, we do it because we constantly check in with our identities. Before you want to do something new, you want to talk to a stranger, you want to order a different drink, you want to express yourself in some way, whatever it is, you want to do something different. We check in, consciously and unconsciously. And we ask ourselves, is it in line with my identity? So what's your identity? Well, your identity is based around the I ams you've been feeding yourself. Anxiety is auto-hypnosis. That's what anxiety is. It's auto-hypnosis. You've been hypnotizing yourself to believe something about yourself that's not true, right? And if you tell yourself a lie enough times, you're going to begin believing it. And so you've been lying to yourself all these months and years and decades, lie after lie after lie. Fears about symptoms, sensations, your doubts, people, life, and so on. And these have turned into beliefs. Those beliefs have turned into identities. So every time you want to partake in a new action, you check in with your identity to see if it's okay, and your anxiety says, no, of course it's not okay. Go back to what you did last time. And so you do. Samantha's here. Cheers, everybody. It's great to be with you. And so, we also suppress love. We suppress love. We've created such an artificial idea around love. Christopher, I love you too. Kara, I love you too. We've created this idea that love, needs to be earned in some way. That love needs to be deserved, right? Something needs to happen in order for me to feel that love or give that love out. And so love has become lust. Love has become other things. And we say that we love things and we love ourselves, but our core beliefs say otherwise. So we suppress that, we put it aside, we stuff it down within us, and we never give it the opportunity to show up. So what is expression? Edita made a very good point. She is tired about talking about anxiety. What a beautiful place to be. That kind of tiredness and dissatisfaction is going to get her to begin speaking about different things. Auto-hypnosis in another direction, right? Susanna's suppressed courage and being adventurous, and now that she recognizes it, she can do something about it. Should she be courageous enough to take that path that is unfamiliar? Because it's very unfamiliar, it's very unknown. And guess what? Our relationships with the unknown must improve. If our relationship with the unknown doesn't improve, we'll never heal. We'll never become someone new. We'll constantly be clinging on to the old, right? Stephen's here. Let's give it up for Stephen doing a tremendous job. I mean, volunteering and all these volunteers, with the members lounge and such and everything else and commenting. I'm truly grateful for all of you and making this whole thing what it is, and a place where we can truly feel like we're beginning to heal. So Stephen's here. Great to see you. And so, my friends, we know that we suppress. We know we do these things. So what is expression? What do we need to do starting today in order for us to feel like we're expressing ourselves and moving beyond who we think we are? Remember what we said, fake flower, right? At the moment, most of us are fake flowers. We're not real flowers. We haven't bloomed yet, right? We're still stuck in the old. What is expression? Expression is building on new ideas and sharing them. Building on new ideas. This is very important because you've been building on old ideas for too long. If you build on those old ideas for too long, like I mentioned, you're going to begin believing them. You're going to begin acting on them. The old ideas connected to fear, because what does fear do? Fear helps us to do something about the situation. So we constantly feel like we need to do something about every situation. The moment we stop and the moment we meditate or slow down, we feel like we're going to lose something. We feel like we're going to be attacked in some way. But this is false. This is based on a brain that's trying to keep you alive, keep you surviving. And so what's interesting in my own journey with expression was I started to express unconditional love towards my anxiety and towards my sensitivities. Unconditional love towards the very things I'm trying to get rid of? Yes, absolutely. Because when that unconditional love shows up, you begin to understand it more, rather than focus so much on the sensation or the symptom. The symptom could be mental, it could be physical, it could be anything. Stop judging those symptoms as being so bad, and stop focusing on them and trying to get rid of them so much. Bring unconditional love into the picture and say, thank you for the warning sign. Thank you for the message. Thank you for the signal. Thank you for reminding me of something that took place in the past where you don't want me to make the same mistake I did before. Thank you. Can you imagine if you went through your day thanking your sensitivities, thanking your anxiousness? My goodness, how different would your life be in 21 days? How different? Well, I could tell you, it would be completely different. But the different scares you because it's different. So until you make peace with the different, you can't heal. That's why I tell people to do silly things, right? Do different. Walk in your house backwards. Just don't fall down the stairs, right? Brush your teeth with the opposite hand. Right? Do anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. Do things that bring up uncertainty. Because if you do this consciously, right, then you're not going to be afraid of it when it shows up unconsciously. Right? These messages must be taken to heart today, because they are the very things that you need to bring about the new you, the real flower. Right? I think Michael is going to say something, but he's not. Someone's taking baby steps towards healing. Rachel, that's good. It's great to have you here, Lori. It truly is. Thank you. So, Gil, we fear change because we've been too invested in fear. And if you've been invested in something for a period of time, your system will want to revert to that consistently. Not only that, an interesting thing happens. you begin to sort for things that are in line with that feeling in the outside world. So you could look around and there could be, 50 things to pay attention to. And there's just one thing that brings up the fear within you, and you'll focus on that instead of noticing all the other things around you. Right? So anything that you've been invested in for a long period of time, you will sort for as well. You will distort information in order for you to fit back into fear. You can look at a cup of green tea, water, and say, oh my God, there's caffeine in that and it's going to do X to me. And it's not the substance in the tea. It's not the substance in the coffee that's making you anxious. It's the pre-existing ideas. It's the adrenaline that starts to hit your system. It's the stress hormones. It's these stress chemicals that are constantly moving through you the moment you look and say there's caffeine in something. And there you go. You don't drink it. Or if you do, you've already set yourself up to be anxious. So we distort information. We sort for it, we distort it, we generalize information based on how we've been feeling for a long time. Once you understand how powerful your associations are, you stop falling victim to the ideas that it's the things in the outside world that's causing you to feel anxious. There's nothing in the outside world that can cause you anxiousness. Absolutely nothing. It's the pairings and the associations that you've created. It's the pairings and associations that you've become emotional around that are causing you to live a limited life. Period. Change the associations. Change the emotional connection to it. Change the behavior. What starts to happen? Yeah, Angela, I've got an amazing narrator for that, actually. I was listening to it a day ago, and it sounds very, very cool. I can't wait till the audiobook comes out, and I know a lot of people are audiobook fans, so second week of August. How else can we express, my friends? Expressing emotions, therefore becoming authentic again. Right? Expressing emotions. Can you imagine if you actually expressed your emotions? Right? The moment we feel anger, we suppress it and we say, oh, I got to hold it within me, and it just compounds over time and it comes out at the wrong time. And then we feel a certain amount of guilt because of what we do, and we beat ourselves up again, and it's an endless loop. But the moment you have anger or something like that, what if you were to express it to somebody? What if you were to speak to them in a way where they got the message and you expressed what you needed to express? It's done. There is no suppression. There is no building up there. There is no tension. There is no pressure in your body anymore. Executing on your creativity, therefore raising your levels of self-worth and self-respect. Your healing is determined by your level of self-worth and self-respect. Little self-respect, no healing. Low self-worth, no healing. Very important. And so, when we engage again in creative acts. And creative acts can be anything. You could be a poet deep down. You could be a writer. You could be a dancer. You could be a singer. You could be in touch with nature and meditating. It doesn't matter. Be creative. Be authentic. Be the real flower. Stop being the fake flower. Because the more creative you are, the higher your self-worth is. The more creative you become, the more your self-respect rises. Therefore, nothing can stand in your way as you continue to be creative. Thing is, we do it for a short amount of time when we stop, right? We get caught up again. We get caught up in life, and life can get us caught up. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy, right? It's not easy. But again, the priority needs to be you, my friends. It needs to be you. Priority number one is emotional care. It's not mental care. It's not physical care. It's not even spiritual care. It's emotional care. Because when you're no longer living in emotional distress, and you're living a neutral to pleasant life internally, emotionally, everything else starts to open up. Mental clarity is a byproduct. Physical healing is a byproduct. Spiritual awakening is a byproduct. So you need to get to a better place emotionally, right? Because those emotions are the very electromagnetic energy that is continuing to bring you like experiences in your life. The people, the experiences, the situations, the words, all that sort of stuff. So what else do we need to express? Acting on intuition rather than overthinking your way out of what felt right to do. So there's a battle going on within you. Right? There was a battle going on within me until I stopped battling. Until I gave more attention and focus and energy to the parts of me that were being neglected. I can't believe, I believe it, but I used to experience repeated nightmares. And these aren't just nightmares you wake up and, it was literally very debilitating. And these nightmares continued for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I would wake up in sweats, in panic, and it would overtake my entire day. The momentum was very, very fearful throughout the day, which again would bring up another nightmare. And these nightmares seemed to have the same message, but had different images, different movies within them. And I started to think to myself, well, what is this? What are these nightmares that I'm having of harming myself? Nightmares of harming my own child. Nightmares of being physically abusive towards everybody, mentally abusive. Nightmares of people telling me things in ways that weren't just verbal, but they were physical, beating me up. And I started to think to myself, my God, this is getting pretty gory. This isn't who I am. And an interesting thing happened. I began to get this voice, my friends, this voice within me that said, don't take it literally. Because until then I did. I started to believe that I was going to harm someone or harm myself. I started to believe that the world was out to harm me, and nothing was going to go smooth in my life. I started to believe these things because I took those dreams and those ideas throughout the day literally. But then I got that message that said, don't take it literally. And then I asked, well, how do I need to take it then? And the answer didn't show up, but I began to feel it over time. I realized that there were two things happening here. One is I was neglecting certain things in my life. Two, I was overemphasizing other things in my life. So those nightmares were nothing more than recognitions that I was living my life in extremes, in extreme manners, right? I was spending way too much time with people I shouldn't have. I was neglecting others, and I was being very selfish. I was focusing on me, when in fact a big part of my healing journey meant that I had to emphasize and put others before me. And I realized over time that these were the messages that my nightmares were trying to tell me. I was neglecting things and I was overdoing other things. And then when I started to look at my life and say, wow, there are a couple changes that need to be made here, and they need to be made for life. Then the nightmares stopped because I started to feel differently. And when you start to feel differently, consistently, everything else becomes a byproduct of that. Things just start to happen. And finally, before we get into Q&A, I realized that I needed to fall back in love with all that I was, in the face of naysayers from my past, as well as my inner child that says I was undeserving of self-love. Why do I put love so high up on the importance of healing? Well, I do that because I've realized something. I've realized that when people start to feel like that self-love is coming back into their lives, other things start to arise at the same time. People start to feel compassionate towards themselves. They start to cry more. People start to not feel sorry for themselves, but they start to be proud of their emotional scars. When self-love starts to show up naturally and not artificially, not in the way that society wants us to believe what love is, but self-love is an experience. It's not something that can be forced. It's an experience. That experience cannot show up if you're caught up, which means that we have to find environments and find times and exercises that promote self-love, and we have to allow ourselves the permission to experience it and to bring it back into our lives, because a lot of people don't give themselves permission to bring self-love back into their lives. We focus on all these other byproducts of self-love, and we try to do each and every one of them throughout the day, when in fact, if we just focus on the self-love and we focus on that feeling of thank you to the inner child for bringing up these sensations, symptoms, intrusive thoughts, for the idea of protection, then we start to become more gentle. We're not so hard on ourselves. We're not so frantic when something goes wrong. We have faith. We have trust. And it's all a byproduct. So warriors, suppression versus expression. It's important to understand. Stephen says love is the purest form of positive energy and the total basis of life. The first emotion we were born with. Yeah. Cheers, everyone. Facebook Lives are fun. What day is it? Saturday. This will go up tomorrow on YouTube. Yeah. And if you know anybody that needs this message, please share. Share this Facebook Live with them. Bring them into the page, our group. Let them join. And if you have any questions, my friends, we'll go over them now. Any questions, comment below. I love how you're interacting with each other. I love hearing about your wins, your progress, the baby steps, where you are in the journey. I know most people here are quite ahead in the journey. There's a couple people that are first timers and such, but it's nice to have everyone here together. Yeah, Facebook. Wow. There's a Facebook group, Kara. Just look it up. It's the Anxiety Guy Members Lounge. Look it up and join us. Come on over. Come on over. Rosaline needed this refresher. Good stuff. Very welcome. Very welcome. Why do I worry constantly about my family's health? Where does that come from? Debbie, honestly, the habit of worry is very much that. It's a habit. If it wasn't your family's health, it would be your friend's health. If it wasn't your friend's health, it would be, the fear of your own health. It would be the fear of your kids' health. It would be the fear of the world's health. It's interesting how we find ways to worry about things when we're addicted to these stress chemicals. And when we think about these stress chemicals, we realize that with anxiety sufferers, it can truly become an addiction. There are people out there that are addicted to these stress chemicals, and they need to be excitable all day, every day. So they buy the shoes and they engage with other people. And the moment they feel like they're slowing down their lives, they start to feel a certain emptiness and they need that excitement again in their lives. So boom, stress chemicals show up again. It could be through social media, this, that, whatever it may be. But then this worrying habit is also the addiction to these stress chemicals, but it's different, right? There's a feeling that the worry needs to be there in order for the very thing we don't want to happen to not happen. Worry becomes a protective mechanism. Worry becomes a habit. Worry becomes something that we feel like we need to do, but we don't. And then worry overtakes our rational thinking. But where does worry come from? Worry comes from the addiction to these stress chemicals. What starts to happen when someone slows down their day and slows down their lives is they begin thinking and acting and seeing beyond the worry. And so when the worry arises about something, these people have the ability to go beyond it and see it for what it is. Survival, protection. And it's this constant, consistent way of responding to the worry as you go through the day that brings about new habits. But the truth is that calm awareness, that mindset needs to be there as you go through the day, so you recognize when you're worrying. The truth is that when you worry, you don't have to follow it. When you worry, it's not that just because you feel something or think something that it's real. What if it's not real at all? What if all the things that you believe were false? What if they were all untrue? What if starting today you believe something different? Instead of focusing on your family's health, Debbie, you could focus on focusing on worrying about their health, you could focus on their good health. Why don't you focus on the aspects of them that promote the idea that they are tremendously healthy? But again, worrying is simply about gripping onto something that we don't want to let go of. And we grip so tightly and we try to control so very much that it causes so much depletion, tiredness. So much tiredness that we can't even see beyond the worry at some point. And so the self-care comes in. The calming exercise comes in, and we give ourselves permission to slow down. But we have that ability to see beyond the worry because we recognize that we don't have to follow anything we think. We don't have to follow anything that we feel. We don't have to follow anything that our authority figures did. We don't have to follow any of those things. And it doesn't mean that we're mean or bad people. It just means that we're being authentic. Sophie has a question here. It's a long one, so let's go over it. Sophie says, how do we know what's traumatizing us from our inner child? I've been reading your book and I can just work out what is about my inner child that's holding on to. How do I work with this? How do I work this out? What's really important when you're working with the inner child, so conscious versus subconscious being inner child, is that we don't consciously look to think about what has traumatized us or what we're suppressing. We don't sit there and just write everything out, right? What we do is as we go through the day, experiencing times where we're slowing down, we allow the feeling of what we're containing in our body to show up, right? Because it is this massive container. It is this meat suit. And all those traumatizing events and the emotions and such get stored in the body. So when you go through reframing exercises, when you go through self-care exercises such as meditations and yogas and time for yourself and reading and this and that, where you have slowed down your life and you're providing the love that you've needed for so long, the answers start arising. So it's not about going and searching to look for the answers and then dealing with them. It's about slowing down and allowing the answers to show up. And this is something that a lot of people won't be able to get right away. Because there's a certain amount of forcefulness that people want to apply in their healing. I want to force it. I want it to happen now. And so the more we force it and the more we want it to happen now, the more the pressure builds and the more answers we search for. But when you slow down, and the slowing down can mean anything throughout the day. It can mean slowing down the way you speak and the way you eat and the way you drive and such. Then you start to tap in. You start to become open and you begin to tap in to what you're holding within you. I realized that I was holding on to a lot of guilt, right? And I didn't go searching to find out what it was. It came to me. I knew it. And you will know it because, you're a limitless being. You're a divine being. So you just know. And when you know, you can't question what you know. It's not about trying to find the answer. It's about knowing the answer. When you know the answer, don't second guess it. Just follow it. Reframe the experiences that come with that guilt. And that's what I had to do. I felt guilty about not serving certain people the way they wanted me to serve them back in the day, pleasing others, authority figures, parents, and such. So I knew. I remember Morpheus saying in the movie The Matrix, one of my favorite movies, sequels and such. I think he said, "Stop trying to hit me and hit me." Right? When he was in that scene, that fighting scene. Stop trying to hit me and hit me. So, when the answers show up and you intuitively know that it is the answer and it could come from anywhere, you can connect where that answer is coming from in so many different ways. And they're all correct, right? But you don't want to question what you feel. If you feel it, you're storing it, right? If you feel the guilt, you're storing it. You haven't expressed it. You haven't reframed it. And I'll say this again. When we're talking about reframing, which I believe in my heart, having, gone through so many processes with people at this point, when you've gone through reframing, it can be very messy. It can be complicated at times. It can be fearful. You need a certain amount of courage to reframe. But when you do, you want to feel like you're going with the flow, right? You want to feel like as you're reframing, you're going with the flow. Many times when an answer shows up within us, we try to edit it. We try to edit the answer. Well, it couldn't be that way. I put that behind me already. No, you didn't, because it came up first. So whatever comes up during reframing, that just means that the unconscious has given you the answer. I couldn't believe that I was still holding on to these moments during my high school years where people were, I wouldn't say severely bullying me, but saying things that I really took to heart. And I never realized that what I took to heart became a belief system within me. I started to believe that. And it came from those particular people. And so when that showed up first, I would reframe it. And so I realized after reframing hundreds of times, similar and different situations, that I started to cry more and more. I started to sweat more and more. I started to yawn more and more. And then I realized that these sorts of physiological reactions had everything to do with my healing. I wasn't going, oh my God, am I yawning? Do I have this disease, that disease? Am I overly tired, this and that? No. The yawning is an expression. So yawn. The sweating. You're sweating around people? Great, sweat. Let them see your sweat, your pits. It doesn't matter. I believe that we have to stop tippy-toeing around life, right? And so you may do a reframing exercise in the morning, and you may have the urge to cry at nighttime. You may go on a vacation, and all of a sudden you've got this feeling, this sensitivity that you're just so sensitive to everything. Oh my God, I just feel like crying, bawling my eyes out right now. Great, do it. Because many times you may need to process these things later on. Just keep going. So if you're reading the book, keep going. Like Stephen mentioned here, he's gone through the book multiple times. He's studied it multiple times, and each and every time he's got something new, multiple things from rereading it. So we need to understand that we have to stop placing these labels on these things that are happening to us. Like crying and such. You don't want to be a crier because of helplessness and victimness. You want to cry because you literally feel in your heart that you're discharging things from the past, and you're proud of yourself, and you feel these wins showing up, right? I hope, that answer helped. Pat, it's great to have you here. Why do I keep having anxiety and panic attacks and tremors when I go? I have to have somebody with me. When you go outside, I'm guessing. Right. Well, again, my friends, we need to understand, like I mentioned earlier, we need to understand why we're experiencing these reactions, why we're experiencing these feelings, right? And so we experience these feelings because there's a part of us looking to keep us from doing things that are new, looking to keep us from exploring things that are new. And so the anxiety at that point is nothing more than a protective response. It's nothing more than the inner child looking to not make another mistake. And so we have these anxieties and these panic attacks and such as warning signs, as signals, to signal to us of things that may have occurred in the past and things that we may be doing that go against our core beliefs. Your job is to work with the anxiety. Your job is to work with the stressors. Your job is to work with the sensitivities. Your job is to bring unconditional love towards that side that you've been hating for so long because you've been hating your inner wounded child. I say this to so many people. Start treating yourself the same way you treat your kids and you're going to be free. You already have the skill sets. So why aren't you treating yourself the same way? Why do you treat other people so much better than how you treat yourself? Why? Because they are more worthy of that love and care than you feel towards yourself. And that's a problem. So when anxiousness shows up, you need to recognize that you've been setting yourself up for that anxiousness from the start. You wake up in the morning, and the first thing most people try to do or look to do, consciously or unconsciously, is to prevent anxiety from showing up in the day. If that's the mindset going into the day, you're going to bring it on. Guaranteed, right? Because you can't go about the day hoping something doesn't happen. It's going to happen. We need to move towards this place of creation rather than prevention. And I want you to ask yourself, are you looking to create something the moment you wake up in the morning? Or are you looking to prevent something from happening the moment you wake up in the morning? And to finish this Facebook Live, I want you all to know that take the one big message from today. Just take it and just spend some time with it today. Make that one message be the very thing that takes up your focus and awareness today. And then begin applying it to your life. And then begin recognizing moments throughout the day where you can begin to utilize that message. Because at some point on this journey, my friends, you're going to have to use what you already know. The knowing is definitely good, but it's not enough, right? I know that if I brought someone to you right now who was in the same situation as you, you'd be able to comfort that person. You'd be able to verbalize. You'd be able to guide and be compassionate towards that person. And that sort of approach needs to go to you starting today. So hit the like button. Vernice, Stephen, Ancient, the heavy metal angel Forest, I love it. Karen, Debbie, very welcome. Great to connect, my friends. Anita, I'm coming to Vancouver in 2 days. I may see you at Stanley Park or English Bay. I'm always in those two places. I may run into your husband again. Very welcome, Christopher. Karen, Selena, Christina, Leah, it's great to see you. Lori, thank you for contributing. And Liz, it's great to see you. Espen, thank you for your incredible engagement. Marnie, great to see you. Rosaline, Stephen, and everybody, if you haven't joined the Members Lounge already, please do. And I will see all of you very, very soon. Love you. Take care. Be gentle. Be self-loving. And focus on your progress and wins. Bye, guys.